So hello and welcome to this Adobe Animate tutorial. Today we are going to create an HTML5 game, and right now I will show you what we are going to be doing. So I'm going to have a grid of shapes. I'm going to have button play, and if I'm going to click on button play, three shapes are going to be selected like so, randomly, and after a few seconds they are going to reset, and out of memory I will have to click them like so, and yeah. And then I am going to win. One more time I am going to have button play, and if I one more time click button play, I will go to new level with 4 shapes, and right now I will have to click 4 shapes and so on. And if I win one more time, I will go to next level and so on. So few things that I want to say before we will start. One of them is that I already created the same tutorial and I made it into the parts. So I made part 1 up to part 5, and I'm going to put the link in the description. It is going to be the same tutorial as this one, but this one is going to be the whole game in one video. Because some people may prefer to have divided tutorials in maybe 30-minute parts, and other people may prefer to have everything in one long video. So this is going to be the long video. But if you want, I am going to put a link in the description for the part 1, and then there you are going to find other parts as well. Other thing that I want to say is that I am not a professional with the JavaScript yet. I am still learning. I am learning a lot, but there are some more advanced things that I still do not know. So keep that in mind, that I know some JavaScript. I like to make these tutorials, but I am still not a professional. The last thing that I want to say is that if anything is not going to make sense, you can always ask ChatGPT or some other AI, and it can help you a lot. Also in this tutorial you will see the parts, like from part 1 to the part 5, and I'm going to provide you all of my codes from part 1 up to part 5. So if your code is not going to be working, you can always compare it with my codes. So yeah, with this being said, right now we can start. Okay, so right now I am in the Adobe Animate, and I'm going to choose my width and height. So for example, I can go with 500 by 500, but you can choose anything. I want this to be HTML5 canvas, and I'm just going to click create. Now I will go to the rectangle tool, and I'm going to choose rectangle, and I'm going to get rid of the stroke, and I'm going to choose some fill. So I will click on the fill color, and I can go maybe with something like this. You can choose any color, and I am going to create a shape like so. Now if you want, you can click on the shape, select it, and then you are going to have option for the position and size. And if I want, I can make this to be proportional when I am going to scale this, and I am going to make this to be 100 like so. Okay, now I am going to convert it to the symbol, so I will click on this. I will go to modify, convert to symbol, or F8, and I can call this to be symbol 1, or I can call this to be blue shape. That's really optional. I want this to be a movie clip, and the registration point doesn't really matter for now, so I am just going to click OK. So I am going to have a shape like so, and yeah, I am going to duplicate this. So I am going to hold Alt or Option, and I am going to drag like so, and I am going to hold Shift to stay on the same line, and I will go like this. And I am going to duplicate it one more time, so I am going to go like this. Now I am not going to play in this tutorial with the alignment of these shapes. You can click on them, and you can position the X and Y position, and you can create as you know, you can align it as you want. But I want to keep this simple, and this tutorial is about the JavaScript, so we are not going to be worried about perfect alignment. But yeah, now once I have 3 shapes, I am going to select them, and one more time with Alt and Shift, or Option and Shift, I am going to go like this, and one more time I am going to duplicate it, and I am going to go like this. So yeah, I'm going to have something like this. This is not going to be perfectly aligned because I don't mind, but as I said, If you click on the shape, you can see the X and Y position. You can click on the next shape, you can see the X and Y position. So for example, I can click on this one and I can see that the X is 120. In here, X is 240. So in that case, this one I would want to position on 360 and so on. But yeah, so yeah. Now I'm going to click anywhere and I'm going to click on the stage and I'm going to choose some background color. So I'm just going to choose something which is not white and yeah. So right now if I go with Control Enter, Command Enter, this is what we are going to have. So yeah, I will click on the stage and I'm going to choose something different, maybe something like this, but this is really optional, but I like this little bit more. But yeah, now we need to put an instance name to all of these shapes, and I would call it blue1, but I am just going to go only with B1, which is going to stand for like blue1. This one is going to be B2 and so on. So yeah, if I would be working on some project, I would maybe go with blue, just so I know in my JavaScript that this is blue, okay? But yeah, I will just go from B1 up to B9, so all of them needs to have a different name, like so, and yeah. So I'm going to have my shapes named from B1 up to B9. They are going to be on the layer 1, and I'm going to create new layer, and I can double click and I can call this layer to be code. You can rename this layer as you want. I can double click and I can call this to be shapes, but yeah. Now I will right click on I will go to my code layer and I'm going to right click and I'm going to choose actions, and this is going to open me this text editor. You can adjust this as you want, position it as you want, but I'm going to have it like so, and I'm going to be zoomed in with Control or Command and mouse wheel so you can see this a little bit better. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to create an array which is going to contain all of my shapes. So I will go with const. You can go also with the let. There are two options for the variable let and const, but arrays we usually go with const, but both are going to be working. You can always go with the let. But yeah, I'm going to go const my blues, for example, or I could call this original blues, but I will go with const my blues is going to be equal. This is how you are going to make an array with the brackets, and I will go this B1 and comma, and I will have to go this B1 up to this B9. Okay, this refers to the main timeline. So it's like saying this timeline give me B1, this timeline give me B2, and so on. So yeah, basically I am going to be like so. In here I went to the new line. That's perfectly fine. But what you need to do, what you need to have is you need to have a comma in between all of them like so. So yeah, and the semicolon in the JavaScript are optionals. I am going to use them, but sometimes I'm going to forget. But yeah, so yeah, I'm going to have my array. Right now I can go ahead and console.log the array. So I can go console.log my blues like so. And yeah, so I will go with Control Enter, Command Enter. I will go with F12, or I'm going to right click and choose Inspect. I have this in Google Chrome because Google Chrome is my default browser. You may have a different browser as a default browser, so it is going to maybe open you this in a different browser. But F12 or right click Inspect should get you to the developer tools, and you can go to the console. And in the console you would see errors or things that we are going to be console.logging. And right now I have array which is going to have 9 elements. And if I'm going to open this, I'm going to have library blue shape, and so on. So yeah, now what we can do is we can change the opacity of any of these shapes, and arrays are 0 based. So this is going to have index 0, index 1 up to index 8. Okay, when you have 9 elements, the last index is going to be index 8. If you are going to have 20 elements, last index is going to be index 19 because you always start with a 0. So what I could do is I can type my blues 0.alpha is going to be equal to 0.5. Alpha is opacity, 0.5 means 50%, and it is going to be like so. Or we can go my blues 8, alpha is going to be, and this is going to be the last one. If I would go with number 9, which doesn't exist, like so, I would get an error. So this is where you are going to have your errors. Cannot set properties of undefined because there is nothing defined on the index 9, but yeah. Now what we want to do is we want to create a random number between 0 and 8 and randomly choose the shape. So I'm going to type let random n or a random index, but I will go with random n, and I'm going to make it equal to be math.floor, and I am going to multiply, not my math.floor, math.random, and I'm going to multiply it by 9. But before of that, I need to explain this little bit because maybe some of you doesn't know. So math.random, m need to be capital. This is how you are going to get a random number. I can console.log that, console.log random n, like so, and this is going to give me random number between 0 and 1, so it is going to be some decimal, and basically I want to multiply it by 9, because if I am going to have random number generated which is going to be 0.99 something, and I'm going to multiply it by 9, I'm going to have 8 point something, but I cannot have 9 because I would have to have 1 multiplied by 9 to be 9, and 0.99999 multiplied by 9 is going to be 8 point something. And if I'm going to have 0.00 something and I'm going to multiply it by 9, I'm going to have 0 point something. So basically what we want to do is we want to go math.random and we want to go multiplied by 9. This is going to give me a random number between 0 point something up to 8 point something, like so. And now what we need to do is we need to get rid of the decimals, and we can do this with math.floor. So I will type math.floor, like so, and I am going to put all of this math.random multiplied by 9 to the math.floor. So math.floor is basically going to get rid of the decimal numbers. So if I would have 8 point something, it is going to make it 8, like so, and if I am going to have 0 point something, it is going to make it 0. So yeah, basically this is a way how you are going to generate a random number between 0 and 8. If you don't understand this, try to Google it, try ChatGPT or something else, but yeah. So I will go with Control Enter, Command Enter. Right now I am going to have 0, and if I'm going to refresh, I'm going to have something else, and I should have a random number between 0 and 8. Now what I can do is I can still console.log the random n, and what I could do is I can go my blues, so I will type my blues of random n, like so. Alpha is going to be equal to 0.5. Okay, so if we are going to generate a random number which is going to be 0, then we will go my blues 0, alpha is 0.5. If I am going to generate number 8, we will go my blues 8, alpha is 0.5. So here I will go with Control Enter, Command Enter, and we are going to have number 6 and so on. Now I am going to hide the console for the moment, and I will just show you. I will refresh, and I should know, because this one right now is selected, that we have generated random number which is 1, because this one has index 0, this one has 1, so I will go with F12 and it is going to be 1. I can refresh. Okay, this one is going to be 0 and so on. and this one is going to be 8, and yeah. So yeah. Now what we want to do is we want to create a for loop which is going to loop multiple times, and we are going to generate multiple different random numbers. So yeah. So I'm going to create a basic for loop. So I'm going to type for, and I will go let I is going to be equal to 0, while I is going to be smaller than, let's say, 5, and I plus plus. So this is the basic for loop, and it is going to loop 5 times because it will loop when I is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and yeah. So if I'm going to console.log I, for example, we are going to have numbers from 0 to 4. Let me for the moment comment out console.logging random n. So we are just going to have these numbers 0 up to 4 because we have this condition I is smaller than 5. Okay, or I can just console.log something like hello, and it is going to console.log me that 5 times. So what I can do right now is very simply I can put my let random n inside of the for loop. So it is going to loop 5 times, and 5 times it is going to generate random number between 0 and 8. Okay, then I am going to console.log the random number. So I am just going to cut it in there like so, and we can also change my blues of random n alpha to be 0.5 like so, and yeah. So now let me change this for the moment for instead of 5 to number 3. So we are going to loop 3 times, and we will see. So I will go with Control Enter, Command Enter, and there is going to be an issue because we have generated the first round number 7. It is going to be this one, and the alpha is going to be 0.5, and then we generated 5. So this is going to be this one, and then one more time we generated 5. So we are going to have only 2 shapes. Okay, I can refresh. Right now we are going to have 3 shapes because we are going to have 3 different numbers, but yeah. So the thing is that we are generating this random number, but they can repeat. Okay, for example, if I go with number 5, we are barely going to get 5 different numbers. So right now we are going to have 4 shapes because number 1 was generated twice. Okay, right now we have 5, but that's something. Okay, we have 2 times 5, but right now we have only 3 because we have 7, 5, and then 3, 3, 3. Okay, so what can we do with this? What can we do with this is we can use something called splice, and yeah, I will try to explain to you. So I am going to create some array. So I will go const names, for example, and I am going to make it an equal to an array, and in the array I am going to make some names. So I will go like Martin, for example, then comma, then Jane. I am putting it in the quotation marks because this is string, these are names. Right now I can go like Monica, I can go Peter, and I can go Joe, for example. So basically I am going to have an array which is called names, and it is going to contain 5 names. Okay, this is something that I need to do to explain splice a little bit, but yeah, I can go ahead and console.log names like so, and for the moment I am going to comment out this for loop. So I will go with slash and asterisk and slash. This is a way how you can comment multiple lines of code, and I will go with Control Enter, Command Enter, and I am going to have the array name which is going to have Martin, Jane, Monica, Peter, and Joe. Now there are some ways how you can add or remove something in the beginning or at the end of the array. you probably know that there is a push, which is going to allow you to put something on the end of the array, or a pop, which is going to delete something from the end of the array. But yeah, but there is an option to use other array method, which is going to call splice, and this is something that we will do. And basically, it is going to allow me to delete something from the array, which is, for example, in the middle, like Monica, or somewhere here, or like so. So let's say that we would like to get rid of the J, okay? And why are we doing this? I will just tell you that with our my blues, what we will be doing is, if for example we are going to select this B2, we are going to then remove it from the array. Okay, so let's go. I will type names dot splice, like so, and let's say that we want to get rid of the J. Okay, the splice is going to take two things. The first one is going to be the index where we want to start to delete. So Jane has index 1, so I will go with 1, then comma, and how many items do you want to delete? I want to delete one item. Okay, so this one we will always go with 1, and basically this is saying that go to index 1 and delete one element. Okay, so right now we are going to have our array, but Jane is not going to be in the array. Okay, if we want to get rid of the Monica, Monica is going to have index number 2, and we want to delete one element. So yeah, right now we are going to delete Monica. You can, but we are not going to use this. Go that I want to go to index 2, which is Monica, and I want to delete two elements. So we would delete Monica and Peter, but this is not what we are going to be doing. So yeah, so we are always going to be deleting one element. And for example, Martin, I can go 0, start with index 0 and delete 1, and we are going to get rid of the Martin. And the same thing we could do with the Joe. We would go with number 4 and so on. So why are we doing this? Because we are going to splice our shapes. Okay, I am going to get rid of everything like so. And for the moment, I will show you something that I wanted to show you, but I kind of forget. So for the moment, I am going to copy the random number like so, and I am going to put it outside of the for loop. And right now I am multiplying this by 9. Okay, so if I want to have random number between 0 and 8, I am multiplying random number by 9, and then I go with math.floor. Okay, but I can go and I have my blues, and I can type console.log, and I can console.log my blues.length. So I will go like this, my blues.length, like so. For the moment, I can comment out the random number. So my the length of my blues is going to be 9, because it is going to contain 9 elements. Okay, so yeah, I could even go like plus and length of array, so we can see this. But yeah, the length of the array means how many elements are in the array. So arrays are starting from 0 and yeah, but the length means how many elements are in the array. So when we are going to create random number, what we want to do is we want to multiply this not by directly 9, but by my blues.length. Okay, my blues.length is 9, so it is going to match. But if I would have, for example, one element less, so if I would get rid of this one, right now the length of the array is going to be 8, and this one would be index 0, and this one would be index 7. Okay, and that's why I would want to multiply this by the length of the array, which is always one more than the index of the last element. So yeah, hopefully this makes sense. So right now when we don't have this be 9, the length is going to be 8, and we want to generate a random number from 0 to 7, and that's why this would be 8. And if I'm going to one more time put back this dot b9, right now the length is going to be 9, and we want to have a random number from 0 to 8, and yeah. So hopefully this makes sense, but yeah, and yeah. So I'm going to cut this, and I'm going to put it inside of my for loop like so, and yeah. So now basically we can continue like so. I'm going to get rid of the space, and yeah, basically we have a random number. We just change this to myblues.length. Then we are console.logging the random number. Then what we can do, this is something which is optional, but we can store this myblues random n inside of the variable. So I can type that let blue, for example, is going to be equal to myblues of random n. So every time that we are going to loop, it is going to contain something different. And then I can just go blue.alpha is equal to 0.5. I can go with Control Enter, and it is still going to be working the same way. Okay, so hopefully I didn't like confuse you with this one. I can show you, but maybe I am making this too much, but yeah. So for example, I can have myblues. I can go myblues of 5 dot alpha is going to be equal to 0.5. Okay, and that's going to change number 5. But what I could have is I could have like let index is going to be equal to 5, and then I would have myblues of index. Okay, so this is what we have, like myblues random n. We can have myblues index, and I can change this to number 3, for example. And right now it is going to be that one, 0, 1, 2, 3. And what we can do is we can store this inside of the variable. So I can type let blue is going to be equal to myblues of index, like so. And then I can just say that, okay, blue.alpha is going to be equal to 0.5, and yeah, and if I'm going to change this to number 7, then we are going to have number 7, and yeah. So hopefully this makes sense, and yeah. And the last thing that we need to do in here, we need to go that myblues.splice, and we need to splice random n, and we want to splice one element. This probably is not going to make that much sense, but this is all that we need to do to make it work. And right now, every time that I'm going to refresh, I am going to have 5 shapes, even though my random numbers are going to repeat. Okay, so yeah, I have a separate tutorial about the splice. I am explaining that a little bit more in that video. So yeah, but now I will try to explain you what we are doing. So temporarily, I am going to copy my blues array just to show you, and yeah, and for the moment I am going to comment out the original one like so. Okay, and let's imagine that on the first round what we are going to do is we are going to have the loop. The first thing we are going to have is let random n is math.floor, math.random, and let's say that we are going to generate number 3. Okay, so yeah, we are going to have number 3. We are going to console.log number 3, and then we are going to have that blue is going to be my blues of random n of number 3. So this is going to be 0, this is 1, this is 2, and this is number 3. Okay, and what we are saying is that blue or my blues of number 3 alpha is going to be equal to 0.5. So we are changing this one, this before, which would be this one. We are changing the alpha to 0.5, and then we say that my blues dot splice, as I showed you a few moments ago, splice on the random n. Random n is number 3, so it is 0, 1, 2, 3, and splice one element. So basically we are saying that change the alpha of the element and then completely delete it from the array. Okay? So yeah, this was the first round of the loop, and then we are going to have the second loop. And right now we are going to have let random n is math.floor, math.random multiplied by my blues length. But right now we have deleted one element from the array. So we don't want to generate random number from 0 to 8, but only from 0 to 7. Okay, because right now this is 0, this is 1, this is 2, this is 3, this is 4, this is 5, this is 6, this is 7. Okay, so we do not want this to be 9 anymore, but we want this to be 8. But it is automatically going to adjust because my blues dot the length has changed. On the first loop it was 8, so we were generating random number from on the first loop it was 9, so we were generating random number from 0 to 8. And the second loop, the length is going to be 8, so we will generate random number from 0 to 7. Okay, so let's say that on the second round we are one more time going to generate number 3. So we are going to console.log it, and we will go, this is index 0, this is index 1, this is index 2, this is index 3, this b5. So we are going to store it in the variable that my blues of random n is going to be blue. It is going to be this b5. We will say that blue alpha is going to be 0.5. So it is going to be this one. We are going to change the alpha. So the first loop we have generated this one, but then we have put it away from the array. Now we are generating, we are changing this one, and then with my blues.splice random n, which is 3, we are going to delete this element like so, and yeah. And if on the next round we are going to, and one more time, right now the array is going to be shorter, is going to contain only 7 elements, so we want random number from 0 to 6, but my blues length in here right now is going to be 7, so we are going to generate random number from 0 to 6, and let's say that right now we are going to generate number 5, so this is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, so right now we are going to, change the alpha of this one, and then we are going to delete it. So yeah. So hopefully this makes sense. If not, I am going to put a link in the description for my splice tutorial. It is very similar to what we are doing right now, but yeah, this is basically one way how we can always have 5 shapes or as many shapes as we want. If I am going to change this to number 7, for example, then we are always going to have 7 shapes and so on. And it is something which is essential for our game. The last thing that we are going to make in this part is we are going to create an array, empty array. So I will go const target blues, for example, and I'm going to make it to be an empty array like so. And then what I'm going to do is I am going to be pushing my elements to the target blues. So how the pushing works, let's imagine the target blues is array with the names. So what I could do, I will show you in here. I can go target blues dot push, and I'm going to push, let's say Martin, like so. And right now I can console.log target blues, and it is going to contain one element, and that's going to be Martin, like so. I will go with F12 array1, and it is going to be Martin. Right now I can duplicate this line of code target blues.push, and right now we are going to push Monica. So right now we are going to have two elements. One is going to be Martin, one is going to be Monica. So push is a way how you can add something to the end of the array. I am going to get rid of this, and what we are going to do is in the for loop, before we will splice. So in here we are going to say that target blues dot push, and we are going to push there the blue. Okay, so basically we are going to choose some shape, we are going to push it to new array, and then we are going to delete it from the old array. Okay, so the last thing that I'm going to show you in this video is that we are going to console.log our arrays, just to make this clear. So I'm going to go console.log, and we are going to console.log target blues, and target blues right now is going to contain 5 shapes. So I will go with F12. I'm going to have array 5, and in this array we should have B1, B2, B3, 4, 5, B6, 7, 8, and B9. Okay, and based on the order of the random numbers, I should know that the first random number was 0. So if I'm going to open this, I'm going to see like library blue shapes, and I can open this even more. Don't worry about this stuff, but there is like a name, and the first name should be B1, okay? Because the first number was 0. If I'm going to close this, the second random number was 4, so this is index 0, this is index 1, this is index 2, this is index 3, and this is index 4, okay? But we have spliced this element, so it is going to be this one, and this is going to be B6. So if I am going to open this and I will go in here, this should be B6, and so on. So basically in this array we are going to have all of these shapes that we have selected. And now if I go and I am going to console.log my blues, the original one, so I will just copy this, Ctrl C, and I will go with Ctrl D, and I am going to paste in here my blues like so. This array is going to contain 4 elements. It is going to contain the shapes that we didn't select. And if I'm going to open this, I am going to know that the first one is going to be B1, the second one is going to be B2. So if I'm going to open this, this is going to be B1. If I am going to open this one, the second one is going to be B2, okay? The next one is going to be 3, 4, 5, and the last one is going to be 6, okay? And basically, these two arrays are going to contain all of the shapes that we are going to have, okay? So the array 5 target blues is going to contain 5 shapes that we have selected, and array which is going to have 4 elements, which is the original my blues, is going to contain the shapes that we didn't select. So yeah, basically this is it. So we are going to cut it for the first part. I hope that this was clear. Thank you very much for your time. I hope that you have learned something, and I hope that you are going to continue with part 2. Okay, so this is what we have so far. If I go with Ctrl Enter, we have 9 shapes, and we are generating 5 random numbers, and we are making 5 shapes to have different opacity and so on. So very quickly I will go to my code. I am not going to re-explain this, but basically we have my blues array, which is going to contain all of the shapes. I call them B1 up to B9, like blue 1 up to blue 9, blue 1 up to blue 9. Then we have an empty array, target blues, where we are going to be pushing new shapes. I will get rid of this space little bit. And then we have this for loop where we are generating random number. We are console.logging the random number. We are setting my blues of that random number to the variable blue. We are changing the opacity of the blue. We are pushing that element to the new array, and then we are splicing the element from the original array, and then I was just console.logging the target blues and the my blues. Okay, I am going to get rid of this console.logs. I explained all of this in part 1, and now we can continue. So now what I can do is I am going to create a for loop. So I will go for let I is going to be equal to be 0, while I is going to be smaller than target blues dot the length. Okay, because I want to target all of the shapes which are right now in the target blues. We have 5 loops in here, so we have pushed 5 shapes in the target blues. So target blues right now is going to have length 5, but it depends on how many shapes we are going to push there. If we are going to have 3, then it is going to be something different. So we want to use the length of target blues, and then I go very simply I++, and yeah. And now what I could do is I can go ahead and say that target, I will just copy this because I will misspell this. So I will go that target blues of I. So it is going to be target blues 0, target blues 1, up to target blues 4. And we are going to say that, for example, rotation is going to be equal to 40. Okay, so right now in this for loop, we are targeting all of the shapes and we are just rotating them like so. But this is not what we want to do. We want to add some listeners to these shapes. So what I'm going to do is I will go target blues of I, and I'm going to go add the capital E event, capital L listener, like so. Make sure that you spell this correctly. I always have add even listener and then I have errors. So yeah, so target blues of I, which means we are going to put even listener to all of them. And we want to have a listener which is going to be click, like so. And then we are going to call some function which is going to be target shape click, or we can go correct shape click. Okay, because right now these are going to be the correct shapes that we want to click. So if I right now, let me comment this out for the moment, just so we are on the same page. These shapes are the shapes that we later on want to click. So it is going to be like correct shapes, and these shapes are shapes that we do not want to click, so they are going to be wrong shapes. Okay, you can call these functions as you want. I'm going to uncomment this, but basically I am going to call a function which is going to be correct shape click. Okay, I am going to copy this, Control C, and I'm going to create the function. So I will go function, and it is going to be this correct shape click, like so. And for now, what I'm going to do is I will go console.log you clicked like so on some correct shape, like so. Okay, like this. You can console.log anything, and I will go with Control Enter. And now if I'm going to click on one of these shapes which didn't change the alpha, nothing is going to happen because they are not in the target blues. But if I'm going to click on this one, we are going to have the console.log. If I'm going to click on this one, we are going to have the same console.log, and so on. So yeah. Now I would like to know which shape I clicked. Okay, so if we want that, what we can do is we can put a parameter in here. I will go with E, but you can go with L, or you can go with anything. You can call this to be shape, you can call this to be blue, but I will just go with E. It's like we are passing the click event in here, and yeah. So for the moment, I am going to console.log this E. Okay, we have put it parameter E, and I'm going to go console.log E. I will go with Control Enter, and if I'm going to click on one of these, nothing is going to happen, you know. But if I'm going to click on this one, I'm going to have this E, and it is going to be type click, target A, current target library blue shape. Okay, this seems something interesting. So let's go and console.log E dot current target, like so. Control Enter, and I'm going to click on this one, and we are going to have a library blue shape. Okay, it sounds interesting. I can open this, but don't worry about all of this stuff. That's not, you do not need to know this. But in here there is name B7. Okay, because we clicked. Let me close this. I'm going to click on this one. It is going to be B1. Okay, you may have the different shapes selected, but right now this one is going to be B1. So what I could do is I could console.log E current target dot name, like so, and it is going to give me the name of the shape that I clicked. Okay, like so. But this name we do not need to. I just wanted to show you. So I will get rid of this. But basically what we are going to do is I will cut it from this console.log, and I'm going to say E current target dot alpha is going to be equal to B0. Okay, I will go with Control Enter, and if I'm going to click on this one, it is going to change the alpha to B0. I will click on this one, and this one is going to change the alpha to B0, and so on and so on. So yeah, this is what we have so far. Now what I'm going to do is I am going to create some kind of button, like button play or something, and we want all of this to happen only when we click the button. So I will go to my Adobe Animate, I am going to create a new layer, and I'm going to get a rectangle tool, and I'm going to get some, you know, orange color, something. I'm going to create some kind of button. I don't like the color, but I do not want to spend time with this, so I will go maybe with something like this. And I am going to get a text, and I am going to change the color to be white, and I am just going to type play. Okay, and I want to have a static text. There is option for the dynamic text. I want to have a static text, but yeah, and yeah, we can align this if we want. I can select this, I can go to the align, I can choose align to stage, and I can align this horizontally like so, but that's not important, so yeah. And I am going to select everything like so. I will go with F8 or modify convert to symbol. I can call this to be BTN play, for example. I want this to be a movie clip. Registration point doesn't matter for now, and I'm going to click OK. And now I will have to create an instance name, so I can go with the same name, BTN play, like so. Okay, now I will go back to my code, F9 or right click actions, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to type this, which refers like to this timeline, dot btn play, and we will go add the event listener, and we are going to go with listener, which is going to be click, and we are going to call a function which is going to be generate numbers. Okay, generate, like so, generate nums, for example. Okay, and now what I'm going to do is I am going to put all of this for loop where we are like generating these random numbers and so on. I'm going to put it inside of that function. So I'm going to create function. So you type function, name of the function, it is going to be generate nums, like so, parentheses, curly braces, and yeah. Now what we could do, but I don't like this as much, I can select all of this for loop and I can cut it inside of my, paste it inside of my generate nums, but it is going to mess this little bit, you know, I will have to go right now with tab and so on. So what I prefer to do is I already have my for loop. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut the parentheses, these curly braces, and I'm going to put it in here like so. So right now I have put it the for loop inside of the generate nums, and I can select all of this and I can go with tab and yeah. But this is just so we are going to have this spacing, but yeah. So basically right now what we are saying is that when we click on BT and play, when we click, we are going to call function generate nums, and generate nums is going to generate these numbers and it is going to change my blues and so on. So basically I will go with Control Enter, I will go with F12 to make sure that I don't have any error, I don't have nothing generated, and if I'm going to click on button play, we are going to have the shapes generated. Okay, right now if I would click one more time on play, we would have some errors and so on, but that's for the later. But for now this is working. I will click button play and yeah. But right now there is one thing which is not going to be working, and that's right now I am going to click on my shapes, but it's not going to change the alpha to 0. Okay, why? Reason is, for the moment I am going to comment out this even listener, this BT and play, and we have like few options how we can call the function. One of them is like with some even click, or what we can do is we can just outside of that function type the name of the function with the parentheses like so, and this is going to call the function. Okay, so for the moment I am going to go like this. So it is going to, we are going to have it in the function and we are immediately going to call the function, and right now it is going to be working. Okay, why? Functions by themselves, they don't do anything. Okay, if I'm going to comment this out, I am just going to have a function, but the function is not going to do anything unless it is going to be called. Okay, so we have these two options, calling it with the click or calling it directly in here. And JavaScript goes from the top to the bottom. So for the JavaScript, it's like, okay, we are going to have some array my blues, it is going to contain these shapes. Then we are going to have target blues and it is going to be empty. The commented part is going to be ignored. Then we are going to have the function, but the function is not going to do anything. Then we are going to go to generate nums, and when JavaScript is going to go to generate nums, it is going to execute the function. So it is going to create the for loop and it is going to fill my target blues with the shapes. So by the time we are going to get to this code, target blues is going to be filled with the shapes. I can in here console.log target blues dot length like so, and I can type plus target length like so, and in our case in here it should be 5, and yeah. Okay, I misspelled something, target blues, so one more time, okay, target blues like so, and yeah, and it is going to be working because we are adding the listeners on target blues.I in the loop with target blues.length, which is 5, and everything is going to work fine. Okay, but if I am going to comment out these generate nums in here, and I am going to put my listener, this btn play, what is going to happen is JavaScript is going to know about this array. There is going to be empty array target blues. There is going to be some listener, but okay, there is listener. There is going to be function, but function is not going to do anything. And JavaScript is not going to wait for our click. JavaScript is just going to execute. So it is going to continue. This one doesn't exist. And when it's going to come in here, console.log target blues.length, target blues.length is going to be 0 because it's empty. So it is going to put listener with target blues length 0, so it's not even going to loop. So we are not going to put any listeners, so nothing is going to work. So right now, if I will go with Control Enter, this target blues length is going to be 0, okay? And if I'm going to click play, it is not going to re-execute this, okay? It is not going to one more time add me these listeners because it's tried to add at the beginning. It went through my code. It was 0, this target blues length. So yeah, that's why we are not going to be able to click on this. Okay. So what we need to do is we need to put, I'm going to get rid of this console.log. I am going to put this inside of some function. So I'm going to go function, like so, function, and I'm going to call this add the correct listeners, because these are like listeners on the correct shapes, but you can call these functions as you want. And I am going to cut this in here like so. One more time, I will go back because what I prefer to do is cut this parenthesis of the function like so, and then we tab go like this. And now what I want to do is I want to call this add correct listeners when my generate nums is going to be ready. So one of the options what I could do is I can copy this, like we are going to call the function, and I'm going to put it in here. I will explain why in the generate nums. Right now I will go with Control Enter, and everything is going to be working fine, and we are going to be able to click on our shapes. Okay, now why are we going to position this in here? I will for the moment delete this, and I will show you what is going to happen inside of this function. So at the beginning I'm going to console.log, and I'm going to console.log before loop like so. Then I will go inside of the loop, and I'm going to console.log inside loop like so. So inside loop, and then I will go in here, and I'm going to console.log after loop. Okay, and what is going to happen when the generate nums is going to be called? It is going to console.log before loop, then it is going to have the for loop, and it is going to console.log inside loop, then it is going to, and it won't go directly in here, but it is firstly going to execute all of the loop. So we are going to have initially console.log before loop, then we will have inside loop, inside loop, inside loop, inside loop, inside loop, and only once the for loop is finished, we are going to console.log after loop. So if I go with Control Enter, and I'm going to go with play, we are going to have before loop, and then we are going to have inside, 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 inside after. So with this, what I wanted to say is that if I am going to, I will get rid of this console.logs. If I am going to call my add correct listeners in here after the for loop, it means that firstly with the for loop we are going to generate all of these random numbers, we are going to push everything to the target blues, and once it is ready we are going to go with add correct listeners and everything is going to be working fine. Okay, like so, and I am going to be able to click. This may work, but maybe it's not going to be the best approach, because later on, if I'm going to call generate nums or in some other projects, it is also going to call this one, okay? And sometimes it's good to have, when you have function generate nums, you want to generate nums. You don't want to have some additional thing. So what I would do is I would create a function, and I'm going to call this to be start the game, like so. And I am going to, instead of when I click on BT and play, I am not going to call generate nums, but I am going to call start game, like so, start game. And in the start game, what I'm going to do is I am going to generate nums, and after generating nums, I am going to add correct listeners. I am going to cut this and I am going to paste this in here like so. I will go with Control Enter and it is going to be working like so. So yeah. So basically what we are doing right now is when we click on the button play, we are going to call the function start game. In the start game, we are going to call generate nums. It is firstly going to execute everything which is going to be in the generate nums, and only once all of this for loop or everything that would be in here is going to be executed, then it's going to go to this add correct listener. And yeah, when we are going to go to add correct listener, generate nums was already finished, so it is going to work properly. So yeah, the last thing that we are going to do in this part is I am going to create a variable. Let score is going to be equal to 0. We are going to be tracking the score, and I will go in my function correct shape click. Current target alpha is going to be equal to 0. So yeah, and I can go that score plus plus, and I can go console.log, and we are going to console.log score, and yeah, and I will go with Control Enter. I will click button play, and right now if I am going to click on my shape, I am going to have score 1, score 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay. There is a little issue in here, and that I am changing current target alpha to be 0. But if I am going to change this to 0.2, for example, like so, then I am not going to completely remove it, and I will go play. Right now, if I am going to click, okay, it is going to increase the score, but I can still click it and it is still going to increase my score like so, and this is not what we want. So if this is something that you want, that you do not want to completely make it disappear, we need to remove the even listener. And how we are going to remove even listener? We will go current target like so, and I am just going to copy this from here. In here we will adding listeners to all of them, and right now I will go current target dot remove even listener. So I am just going to call copy and paste add even listener, click correct shape click, and I am going to go instead of add, and I will go with remove. Okay, and basically this is going to say that current target, the shape that I clicked, remove the even listener that we called on that shape, and remove it basically. So right now I will go with Control Enter, I will click play, I will click 1, but right now I am not able to click this anymore. Okay, and right now I can click only once on all of the shapes, and yeah. That's why, not that's why, but one thing that we could do is we can store this eCurrent target inside of the variable, so we do not need to write it every time. So I can very simply go that let blue is going to be equal to eCurrent target, so it is always going to hold this value eCurrent target, and instead of writing eCurrent target, I can type that blue alpha is going to be equal to 0.5, blue remove listener, and so on. Okay, the same thing I could make in here, but I do not want to confuse you, so yeah, and this is going to be working the same way. Play, and yeah. And the last thing that I'm going to do is we are going to check the score, and if the score is going to be 5, we are going to win. So I'm going to go if score is going to be equal to 5, which is not the best approach, but for now we are going to console.log, and we are going to console.log winner. I will go with Control Enter, and I will go play, and I will go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we are going to have winner. We do not want to go if score is equal to 5, and I use triple equal signs because we are comparing. You could go with double, but I always go with triple. There is a reason, but you know, 99% of the time it's better to go with the triple equal sign when you compare. But I will go if score is equal, but not to 5, but to target blues dot length. Okay, because if we are going to in generate nums, generate 5 things, and we are going to push 5 things to the target blues, then the score needs to be 5. But if we are going to generate only 3, then score needs to be 3. If we are going to generate 7, score needs to be 7. Okay, so you need to, if you are going to have 3 shapes, then the length of target blues is going to be 3, and you need to have the score which is going to be 3. Okay, I can go with Control Enter, I will go with play, and it is going to be working like so. But right now, if I go and change in here, for example, that we are generating only 3 shapes, I will go with 3 like so. Right now it is going to generate me 3 shapes, and if I'm going to click all of them like so, I am going to have winner. Okay, but if I would generate 3 shapes, but I would have in here if score is equal to 5, then we wouldn't have a winner. So yeah, I'm going to change this back to 5, and yeah. So this is what we have for now. In the part 3, at the beginning, I am going to create a recapitulation, but for now we are going to cut this, and we are going to continue in part 3. So if you finish this part, congratulations, I am going to provide you my codes, also part 1, also part 2, and all of the parts at once, but yeah. Okay, so right now I am in the Adobe Animate, and I will show you what we have so far. So I will go with Control Enter, Command Enter. I am going to open my console with F12. And basically I am going to have my grid and my button, and if I am going to click on the button, it is going to select me 5 shapes. And right now the shapes that I have selected, I am going to have listeners on them, and if I am going to click them, they are going to change the opacity even more. And in the console we are going to be console logging the score and so on. So yeah, in this tutorial what we want to do is we want to make them, I will refresh, I will click play, we are going to wait 5 seconds, and then we are going to change the alpha back to 1, and only when the alpha is going to be changed we will be allowed to click. And also we are going to add listeners on this one, which are not selected, so if you click them you are going to lose the game. So yeah, I will go back to the Adobe Animate, and I am going to go to my code, and very briefly I will show you that for now we have this original array which is going to contain all of the shapes. Then I have the target blues which is going to be empty. This is the array where we are going to be pushing the selected shapes. We have score is equal to 0. Then we have the even listener on the btn play. Then when we click on the btn play, we are going to call function start game. In the start game, we are going to firstly generate numbers. So it is going to go to this function generate nums, and in here we have the for loop from the part 1 where we are generating random numbers. We are changing the opacity of the shapes. We are pushing the shapes to the new array, to the target blues, and we are splicing, we are removing those shapes from the original array. And then once the whole generate nums is executed, then add correct listeners is going to be called, and in here we are putting listeners to all of the selected shapes, target blues I, and we are putting listener click, and we are calling the function correct shape click, and in the function correct shape click we have this e as a parameter, and we are storing eCurrent target to the variable. This is how we know which shape to be clicked. We are changing the alpha to 0.2. We are removing the even listener, so we cannot click the shape more than once. We are increasing the score. We are console.logging the score. And then we are just comparing that if the score is equal to the target blues.length. So if we are going to have 5 shapes, we need to have score 5. If we are going to have 3 shapes, we need to have score 3. And we are just console.logging winner. Okay. Now what I want to do is when I click on the button play, we are going to call generate nums, and it is going to change the opacity of the shapes. And what I want to do is after 5 seconds or after 2 seconds, I want to reset the alpha back to 1. So I'm going to create a function. I will call it reset target alpha, like so, target blues, but I will just go function reset target alpha, like so, and yeah. And in here I am basically going to create a for loop which is going to loop through all of my target blues, and I am going to change the alpha to the 1. So I will go for let I is going to be equal to 0 while I is going to be smaller than target blues.length, because we want to have all of them, and I plus plus. And then what I'm going to do is I will go target blues of I, like so, alpha is going to be equal to 1. Okay, so yeah, we are going to have the function which is going to reset all of the alphas that we have changed in here. Now I am going to call this function in the start game. So I will copy this, I will go to the start game, and I will go in here. So I am going to generate nums, then I am going to reset target alpha, and then I am going to call add correct listeners. This is not going to be working as we want, because in the generate nums we are going to change the opacity to 0.5, but immediately we are going to call the function which is going to change it to 1. So I will go with Ctrl Enter, and now if I am going to click button play, nothing is going to happen. We are going to have some listeners, but the issue is, as I said, that immediately we have changed this back to 1, so we didn't even see for the moment which shapes were selected. So what I'm going to do is I will go with set timeout, like so. There are some more modern ways, but I will go with set timeout. And in the set timeout, what I'm going to do is I am going to call reset target alpha, like so. So I will go set timeout. The T has to be capital, but O is not capital. So it's like so. And we are going to call reset target alpha. then comma, and in 5 seconds. So this is like 5000 milliseconds, which means 5 seconds. So basically, this is the way how we could, this is one of the way how we could delay the calling of the function. So yeah. And you do not want to have reset target alpha in parentheses like so. So you do not need to, you cannot have this like so, because the calling of the function is with the this parentheses of the set timeout. But yeah, this is how we have this. I will go with Control Enter. I will click on the button play. I will wait few moments and they are going to reset. And right now I can click them and yeah. But not that easy, because I will refresh this. I will click play, and I am going to be able to click them immediately. Okay, they are going to, you know, reset and so on. But what I want to do is I want to click play, and I want to be able to click them only once they are going to be alpha 1. So what is going to happen in here is that before I told you, I'm going to comment this out for the moment, that firstly generate num is going to be called, and only once generate nums is going to be completely executed, then add correct listener is going to be called. But if you have something like set timeout, it is not going to work like that. So right now what is going to happen is we are going to call generate nums. We are going to have set timeout, okay, and it is going to be set to 5 seconds. So JavaScript is going to be like, okay, I will call this in 5 seconds, and immediately it will go in here, okay. So I can console.log in here that this happen now, okay. Happen, doesn't matter, okay. But I want you to see that JavaScript is not going to be like generate nums, then it is going to call this one, it will wait 5 seconds, and then it will go here and here. No, it will go in here immediately, and this is going to be executed in 5 seconds. So if I go with Control Enter, you will see, I will click play, this happen now, okay. Or I can show you, I am going to get rid of this console.log, and I will go to the add correct listeners. So I will go in here, and I will console.log that we don't wait or something. Yeah. So the point is that the add clicks is going to be added immediately. So what can we do? There are a few options. I will show you a couple of them. So one of the possibility, this is not the best way, but we could duplicate this set timeout, and we could one more time go like this. And right now I would go set timeout, add correct listeners, and also in 5 seconds. Okay, so it is going to call generate nums, then set timeout this one and set timeout this one. Okay, so this would work, but I probably wouldn't go like this, but I will show you. I will click play. Right now I cannot click them, and now they are going to change the alpha, and I can click them. So this is one of the way. Other way that we can do is we do not want to maybe call the set timeout twice like so. So we can create one set timeout and call it in there. We are not going to do this way only because this may seem a little bit confusing, but I will show you, and I will show you twice. So you will get this. On the first time this may seem complicated, but I'm going to go set timeout like so, the same spelling, set capital T timeout, and I am going to go with parentheses, and inside I will go function, and function is going to have a parenthesis and then curly braces, and inside of the curly braces we are going to call reset alpha like so, and we are going to call add correct listeners. Don't worry, I will type this one more time in a way that you will understand this, but we are anyway not going to do this. And I will go in here, comma, and I'm going to go 5 milliseconds, 5000 milliseconds, 5 seconds. And basically, I am going to delete my set timeouts, and I am going to paste this function, set timeout function, where we are resetting the alpha. We are adding correct listeners, so we are going to do it in one function, and we are going to do it in 5 seconds. So here, I am going to cut this, and I am going to paste it in here, like so. With tab, I am going to go like this. I will go with Control Enter, and this is also going to be working. Right now, I cannot click, but after 5 seconds, I am going to reset the alpha, and I am going to be able to click. So I will show you one more time this set timeout, just so you can understand this, maybe for some other projects, because I do not want to do this in this tutorial this way, because this may confuse some of you. But what you could do is you can just type function. Function usually have a name, like here, but we are going to go without name. So function, parentheses, then curly braces. So here it is just like the function, but without name. In the function, I would just call reset target alpha. Then I would go and I would call add correct listener, like so. So yeah. And if I want to make this to be like set timeout, I would go before of the function and I would type set timeout, like so, and just put everything inside of the parentheses, like so. So basically, we just had a function, like normal function, but without name. And when we want to make it set timeout, we go set timeout and we put everything inside of the parentheses, like so. And then between this curly brace and this parenthesis, we are going to go with comma and how many milliseconds this is going to take. Okay, so I will just show you that I can delete this and I can put this in here and it is going to be working the same way. Right now I won't go with tab because we are anyway not going to do this way, but this would be maybe what I would do, but yeah. So what can we do to make this work and to make it to be like not confusing? For the moment, I am going to cut this and I'm going to paste it in here just because I want to, later on use this, and I will delete this like so. And what I would do in this project is I would just go set timeout like so. And in the set timeout, I am going to call reset target alpha. And I'm going to reset target alpha in 5 seconds, like so. Okay, so I will delete this in here. And then inside of the reset target alpha, what I am going to do is I am going to call add correct listeners. Okay, this is maybe also not the best way because right now reset target alpha, if we want to call this later on, which we don't, we would also call at the same time add correct listeners, but maybe this is something which is going to like make sense, that we are going to generate nums, then we are going to with set timeout call reset target alpha in 5 seconds. So we are going to, reset them in 5 seconds. Then it is going to reset them. And after everything is resetted, we are going to call add correct listener. So I will go with Control Enter. I will click play, and I cannot click right now. And now I am going to be able to click, and yeah. I will, this may be, too much, but this tutorial is not only about the game, but also about the learning and so on. So I will show you one last thing, which we are not going to do, which would be maybe the best thing, but we are going to keep it as it is right now. But one of the possibility, what we could do is create some kind of function. I can go in here and I can go function reset target and add listeners like so. Okay, something like this. Okay, this is like the long name and so on. But I could go and make the set timeout function to call this long function. Okay, so I am going to say set timeout, reset target and add listeners in 5 seconds. Okay, and inside of this function I would just go reset target alpha. Okay, and I would call add correct listener like so. Right now reset target alpha is going to only reset target alpha, you know, and in this way we would call the function in 5 seconds, and the function would call reset target alpha and at the same time add correct listeners. I will go with Control Enter, and this is also going to be working. So maybe at the end of the game we may try to put this like so, but for now I do not want to make this too complicated, so I am going to go to the state where I was before. So in the set timeout in my start game, I'm going to call reset target alpha in 5 seconds, and in the reset target alpha what I am going to do is I am going to call add correct listeners like so, like this, and it is going to work fine. So I showed you couple of ways and some reasons why I would do it or why I wouldn't, but yeah. And the last thing that we are going to do in this part, we are going to put listeners to these incorrect shapes. So when I click on one of these shapes, I am going to, console.log that I lost or something, but I also want to put listeners on this one only once everything is resetted. So I do not want to be able to click on this when this is like so, but I want all of my listeners only once this is going to be resetted. So I will just go to the place where I have add correct listeners. I'm going to duplicate this and I'm going to call a function which is going to be add wrong listeners, because it is going to be adding on the wrong shapes. So add wrong listeners like so. I'm going to create the function add wrong listeners like so. I will copy this and yeah, and like this. And now what I want to do is my blues right now is going to contain only a few shapes because we have deleted some of them with the splice, but my blues is going to contain the shapes which didn't change the alpha, so which are the wrong ones. So what I'm going to do is in here I'm going to create a for loop. So for let I is going to be equal to 0 while I is going to be smaller than my blues dot length and I plus plus. And in here what I'm going to do is I am going to put a listener to all of them. So I will go my blues of I add the event listener like so. I will go with click, and on the correct shapes add correct listeners, we are calling function correct shape click. So in here I am going to call a function which is going to be wrong shape click, for example. I am going to copy this like so, and I am going to create the function wrong shape click. And for now I am just going to console.log that you clicked on wrong shape, or one of the wrong shape. Okay, clicked like so, and yeah. But I will go with Control Enter. At the beginning I will click button play and I cannot click anything, but yeah. And now I am going to be able to click on the correct shapes, and if I click on the incorrect, I am going to have you clicked on wrong shape, and so on. So yeah, and if we wanted, we could change the color or something of the wrong shape. We are going to right now change the rotation. So I will one more time have to go with parameter e, and I can go e dot current target dot rotation, for example, is going to be equal to 40, and I will go with Control Enter. And right now at the beginning I cannot click anything, and once this is going to be resetted, the correct shapes are going to shape the alpha, and the wrong shapes are going to change the rotation. And yeah, basically this is what we have for now. In the part 4, I am going to create, at the beginning of part 4, I am going to create a recapitulation of what we have for now, but this is what we have. So yeah, I'm going to cut it for this part. I hope that you were able to manage to get through everything, and that everything was clear. And yeah. Okay, so right now I am in the Adobe Animate, and I will show you what we have so far. So I will go with Control Enter, Command Enter. I am going to open the console, and basically I am going to have the button play, and if I am going to click button play, my shapes are going to change like so, and I cannot click nothing for now. Only when the shapes are going to reset, right now I can click, and if I am going to click on the correct shapes, they are going to change the alpha. And if I'm going to click on the incorrect shape, they are going to change the rotation for now. So yeah, basically this is what we have for now. And now I will go to the code, and I'm going to create a recapitulation. But this is not going to be like, I'm not going to explaining because I was explaining in other parts. I will just recapitulate what we have, because you may be watching part 4 in other day than you watched part 3 or whatever. So basically we have the initial array, which is going to contain all of the shapes. We are going to have target blues, where we are going to be pushing the shapes that we are going to select. We have score, which is going to be 0. Then we have listener on the btn play, and we are going to call a start game function. I can delete the space in here. And in the start game, firstly we are going to generate nums. So it is the function where we are generating the random numbers. We are changing the opacity of the shapes. We are pushing the shapes to the target blues, and we are splicing, deleting those shapes from the my blues. So after the generate nums is going to happen, target blues is going to contain 5 shapes, and my blues is going to contain only 4 shapes. Okay, and together they are going to contain all of the shapes. And then in the start game, we are going to have set timeout, which is going to call function reset target alpha in 5 seconds, in 5000 milliseconds. So we are going to generate nums, everything is going to happen, and then we are going to wait 5 seconds. And after 5 seconds, we are going to call the function reset alpha, where is going to be for loop on the target blues, which are the selected shapes, which change the alpha to the 0.5, and we are going to make them to be 1. And after the for loop is done, we are going to call two functions, add correct listeners and add wrong listeners. I showed you in the part 3 that there are multiple ways how you can do this. I am going to keep it for now as it is. And add correct listeners is going to call the function which is going to be this one, and we are going to have a for loop which is going to loop through all of the target blues.length, and we are going to have a listener click, and we are going to call function correct shape click. And in here we are with the setting like e current target, which is going to tell us which shape we clicked, and we are going to store it into variable. We are going to change the opacity to 0.2. We are going to remove the listener on that one, so we cannot click it more than once. We are going to increase the score. We are going to console.log the score, and we are going to check if the score is equal to the length of my target blues. If the target blues contain 3 elements, we want this to be 3. If it contains 5, we want this to be 5. If 7, we want to 7. I explained this couple of times, so yeah. And then we are going to have this add wrong listeners. Both of these are going to like happen in like same time, you know. So then we are going to add this one, and we are going to add this one, but it is like going to happen simultaneously. And then we are going to have add wrong listeners, which is going to loop through my blues of I, which at the beginning contained all of the elements, and right now is going to contain just the elements that were not selected. And we are going to put the listener click, and we are going to call the function wrong shape click. And in the function wrong shape click, we put like this e. We do not need it that much, but we have this e current target rotation is 40, so we are going to change the rotation of that shape to be 40, and we are going to console.log that you clicked on the wrong shape. So yeah, I showed you, but basically this is what we have. I click play, we are going to wait. Right now we cannot click anything. Then it is going to reset, and I'm going to have add the correct shape click and add wrong. And right now, if I click on the correct ones, they are going to change the alpha. And if I click on the wrong one, they are going to change the rotation. So the first thing that we are going to do in this tutorial is when I click on button play, I am going to have the shapes, but if I click one more time, I am going to have some error. So yeah. So what we want to do is we want to remove the even listener when we click button play, or we want to hide it. So very simply, I will go to my start game function, and what I want to do is I want to copy this like so, Ctrl C. I want to go to the start game, Ctrl V, and I am going to change that this btn play dot remove even listener click start game. Okay, but there is one issue, and it is not going to be working. So yeah, because we cannot use keyword this inside of the functions. And why we cannot use keyword this inside of the function? The reason is that if I go outside of the function and I am going to console.log this, it is going to refer to the main timeline. So I will go with Ctrl Enter, and I am going to have library untitled 3 because that's how is my project name. If I would have this memory game, I would have memory game or something. But if I'm going to console.log this inside of the start game, I will go console.log this. So this is going to happen when I click play. I am going to have some kind of window or something. So basically this inside of the function is referring to the function, and this inside of the outside of the functions is referring to the timeline. And we need to go this timeline, btn play, and so on. So what we do for this, I have a complete separate tutorial for this. You can search it on my channel. It should be somewhere top. But yeah, but what I'm going to do, somewhere top, it depends when you are going to see this, but I will go to the complete top of my code, and I am going to say that let root is going to be equal to this, like so. And right now, if I console.log root, it is going to be my timeline, like so, library untitled 3. But if I am going to cut this, and I am going to console.log root inside of my start game, like so, Ctrl Enter, like so, and I will click play. It is going to be also library untitled 3. There is going to be some stuff, but yeah, it is going to refer to the same thing. So what we need to do basically when we want to get something like this btn play inside of the function, we need to instead of the keyword this, use keyword root. So I will just go like this, and I am going to say that root btn play remove even listener and so on. You can try to keep this as a this, and you will see that you will have an error. I can show you in a moment. But right now I will go root, btn play, remove event listener, and so on. So right now, if I click on the button play, I cannot click it anymore. Okay? And if I would have this as a this and not the root, like so, I will go with Control Enter. I would have some kind of error because yeah, there is not such thing as this function btn play. There is only this timeline btn play. But yeah. Or what we can do is we can simply go root.btn play, and we are going to go visible is going to be equal to false, like so. So right now, if I'm going to go with Control Enter and I'm going to click on my button, it is going to disappear. So when I am making my button to disappear, I can potentially get rid of, I'm going to comment out this root btn play remove event listener, because I am going to make the button invisible. So I do not need to remove the event listener because you cannot click something which is not visible. Okay, but you could keep this, that's completely fine. But later on, we are going to make the button again visible. And if we would remove event listener, we would have to add listener one more time. I can show you, but for now, I am going to keep this commented. And basically, if I click on button play, it is going to disappear. Now what we are going to do is we are going to create text when we win and text when we lose. So I will just rename this in here. So I will double click. This is going to be btn play, like so. Okay. Okay, fine. That's just some naming, but I'm going to have btn play, and I'm going to create new layer. And on this new layer, I am going to get a rectangle tool. I am going to get white color, and I am going to create some shape like so. And I will get a text tool while I am on the same layer, and I am going to get green color, and I am going to type winner like so. And I want to have static text. Okay, there is option for the dynamic text. I want to have static text. Now I am going to align this. So I will click on the shape with shift on the winner like so, and I can go to the align tool and I can align it to the left or to the center. I want to align it to the center like so. Right now I can see that my shapes are not aligned, but we talked about this at the beginning, that we are not going to be worried about aligning these shapes. But now what I want to do is I will click on the shape with shift on the winner, or I can click on the layer 1 and it is going to select me both of them on the layer where I have the shape and winner, and I will go with F8 and I am going to call this to be txt winner like so. Make sure it is movie clip, registration point doesn't matter because we are not getting this directly from the library, but yeah. And I will click on this. I will go to the instance name and I am going to call this to be txt winner like so. Okay. Now what I could do is I can hide this for the moment. I can create new layer, and on the new layer one more time I can create some shape, and right now I would create txt loser. But if I want to have the shape the same as for the txt winner, what I could do is I can delete this and I can delete this layer too. And what we could do, I will hide this, but you do not need to do this like so. You can create new layer and so on. So I do not want to confuse you. But what we can do is we can go to the layer 1. I will right click. I'm going to choose duplicate layers. Okay, so right now I am going to have two layers which are going to have the same thing. Layer copy, if I show it, has txt winner, and layer 1 has txt winner. So I am going to show the layer copy. I will click on this. I will go to the modify and I will go to the break apart. So it is going to like break me this apart back to the shape and txt winner. And I can change this to be loser like so. I can change the color and I can align this. But if this was confusing, don't worry. You can just create new layer and create one more time the shape. but you may not get the same exact shape. But yeah, basically this is one of the way how you can make this to be the same. And now I am going to select it either with shift and not shift but click and then shift, or I can just click on the layer 1 copy, and I will go with F8, and this is going to be txt loser like so, and OK. And I am going to click on this, and I am going to have txt loser. So very simply, I have two layers. On one layer I have txt winner, which is movie clip, and on other one I have txt loser, which is movie clip. If the part with the break apart was confusing, just create new layer, create the shape, create text loser, convert it to the symbol, and yeah. Okay, I will go with Ctrl Enter, and we are going to see txt loser, and below that is txt winner. So what we need to do in our code is we need to hide them at the beginning. So yeah, one thing that I will do is I will put some of my variables to the top. So let the root is equal, this is going to be on the top. Also score I am going to put on the top. And right now I am going to type that this txt loser, and I will go visible is going to be equal to false, like so. Okay, so basically right now I am going to hide txt loser, and I am going to do the same thing with the txt winner. So I am going to duplicate this, Ctrl D, Ctrl C, Ctrl V, and I am going to go txt winner, visible is going to be false, and right now I am going to hide both of them. And now what I want to do is very simply when I am going to win, so I am going to copy txt winner. I will go to the function where I am, when I have add correct listeners, and below that I am going to have correct shape click. And in here I have this if statement, which is going to determine if I win. I explained this, so yeah, we are console.logging winner, and I am going to make that this txt winner visible is going to be true. But one more time, we are in the function, we cannot use this, we need to use root. I hope that this makes sense. But yeah, and I will go with Ctrl Enter, and if I am going to win, I will have to wait these 5 seconds, but if I am going to win, I should have txt winner to be visible. And the same thing we are going to do with the txt loser. I will copy this like so, and I will go to the function wrong shape click, where when we click on the wrong shape, we can change the rotation. Later on we will delete this. We are going to console.log you click on the wrong shape, or I can console.log you lost because you click on the wrong shape, and I am going to make a root txt loser visible to be true. Okay, I will go with Ctrl Enter. I will click button play. I will have to wait, and I am going to click on the wrong shape like so, and I am going to have txt loser. Now the next thing that we are going to do is we are going to reset these listeners, because right now I clicked on the incorrect shape. I have loser, but I can still click all of the shapes, and yeah. So what we are going to do is we are going to create a function which is going to be a reset game. I am going to put the function on the bottom, but for now I am going to put it somewhere here. You know, the order of the function doesn't matter that much. What is important is like order of how you call the functions. So yeah, but yeah, I am going to create a function reset game like so, and yeah, and what I'm going to do is in the wrong shape click, after I am going to make root txt loser visible is going to be true, I am going to call the function reset game. Okay, like so. So what do we want to do in a reset game? So firstly, what we can do is we can remove the listeners on the wrong shapes. Okay, so in here I have the for loop add wrong listeners, and I have function add wrong listeners, and I have a for loop, which is my blues.length, because this is like the original array. I explained this, but yeah. But what I am simply going to do is I am going to copy this like so. I will go to my reset game. I will paste this, and I am going to go my blues I dot remove even listener like so. Okay. So basically what I am doing is when I click on the wrong shape, I am going to remove all of the listeners that I put on the wrong shape. So in here we are in the for loop adding listeners to all of the wrong shapes, and right now we are removing the listeners on the wrong shapes. It will make sense if I go with Control Enter, Command Enter. I will go with F12. I will click play. Okay, I will have to wait. You can see that these three are the wrong ones. And if I'm going to click this one, the wrong one, I cannot click the other wrong one. Okay, because right now we have removed them, and yeah. But I can still click the correct one. Okay. So it is going to be the next thing that we are going to do. We are going to remove in the reset game the correct one. For now, I can create a comment. In the part 5, we are going to adjust this little bit because this reset game may be not that readable with all of the for loops, but I'm going to go remove wrong listeners like so. And now I will go to the place where I am adding the correct listeners. So it is going to be this for loop where we have target plus I add listener. So we are adding listener to all of the correct shapes. And I will go to the reset game like so. And I am going to paste this, and I will go let target I is 0, while target blues is while I is going to be smaller than target blues.length, I++. You know, we talked about this, but I will just go, instead of add, I will go with remove like so. And I can put a comment in here that remove correct listeners like so. I will go with Control Enter, and now I will click play. And if I am going to click on the incorrect shape like so, I am going to have a loser, but I am going to remove all of the correct shapes, and I am going to remove all of the wrong listeners. So right now I cannot click nothing anymore. Okay, so yeah. And the same thing we are going to do in when we win. So we are going to also call the function reset game when we win. I will but before of that, I will just show you what is going to happen when we win. So I will go with Control Enter, and I will click play, and I will have to wait, and I will click on this one, this one, this one, this one, and this one. Okay, I am going to have winner, but I can still click on the wrong one. Okay, so yeah, and in the correct one, I will go in here. What we are doing is we are removing the listener on the shape that we click. So we have blue remove listener click, correct shape click. So one more time, in the correct one, when I click on the correct one, we are like removing it. I cannot click it anymore. But anyway, what I'm going to do is in here, when I'm going to win, I'm going to call the function reset game like so. Okay, and right now when I'm going to win, I will one more time, maybe I could have make this 2 seconds, but right now if I am going to win like so, I am going to call the reset game, which is going to reset all of the correct shapes, which we removed anyway because we removed it one by one when we clicked on them, but it is going to remove them, but it is also going to remove the wrong shapes. So right now I cannot click anything. So yeah, this is something which is important to remove your listeners. The next thing that we are going to do in a reset game is we are going to make the score to be equal to be 0, because you know score at the beginning of each game to be 0. And then what we are going to do is we will go root btn play visible to be equal to true. Okay, so if I'm going to win or if I'm going to lose, I am going to make my button to be one more time visible. So let's say that I am going to win, and my button is going to be visible. Okay, now in the start game function, I make root btn play visible to be false, and I commented out this remove listener, because when we make this invisible, we do not need to, remove the listener. But if I would remove the listener, what I would have to do, I will copy this. I would have to in the reset game add it. So in the reset game, I would have to go like this, and one more time I would have to go root btn play add the event listener. Okay, start game and so on. But I am going to delete this, and I am going to comment it out in the start game. I just wanted to show you that if you remove your listener on the btn play, you need to add it. The next thing that we want to do is we need to reset our arrays. So at the beginning, target blues was empty array, and right now it is going to contain five elements, 5 shapes. So I want to, in a reset game, make target blues to be empty again. Okay, so I will go to the reset game, and you may want to go like target blues is going to be equal to empty array. We do not want to do this for a couple of reasons. That's not for this tutorial. But if you want to make the array to be empty, very simple way what you can do is go target blues dot length is going to be equal to 0. Basically, this is saying whatever is in the array, I said that length is going to be 0, so there is going to be nothing. Okay, and now my blues at the beginning contain all of the shapes. But right now, because we spliced them, we deleted the chosen one, we are going to have only 4 shapes in here, and we want to make my blues to be we want to have all of the shapes one more time in my blues. So what I'm going to do in a reset game is I am going to say that at the beginning I am going to reset it. So I will go my blues dot length is going to be equal to 0. So I am going to make it to don't have any shape. And now what I'm going to do, we are going to remake this in part 5, but I will copy all of this like so, all of this inside of the array. And I am going to say that my blues dot push. Okay, I showed you the push because we are pushing, and we are going to push everything like so. Okay, we are going to remake this in part 5 because we are repeating the code. But yeah, and one thing that we need to do is we need to go instead of this every time with the root, because this is not going to work in the function, inside of the function. But yeah, I will go like this, and yeah, basically we need to fill everything like so. Very quickly I will just show you because this may be a little bit confusing, that if I am going to have some array, let's say const names is going to be equal to an empty array. I showed you like names dot push and Martin, for example, and then we had other line which was names dot push Monica, like so. But what I can do is I can go names dot push Martin comma Monica, like so, Monica comma Andrea, and so on. Okay, I missed this somehow, like so, but we can push at once as many elements as we want. And that's exactly what we are doing in here, like so. We are pushing, we are making my blues to be empty, like get rid of everything that is inside, and make, you know, make the array my blues to be filled with all of the shapes. Okay, I will go with Control Enter, and we are almost done. There is last one thing that we need to do. I will click play, and we are going to change the alpha of the shapes, and now I am going to click them like so. Let's say that I am going to win. What I also need to do as the last thing, to loop through my blues, which right now is filled with the shapes, and make all of the shapes to have alpha 0, because alpha 1, because at the beginning we had everything as alpha 1. So yeah, I will make a recapitulation in part 5, and in part 5 we are going to play with this little bit. But what I'm going to do is I am going to fill my blues with all of the shapes, and then I am going to create for loop. So for let I is going to be equal to be 0, while I is going to be smaller than my blues.length. So I want to go through all of the shapes like so, I plus plus, and I want to say that my blues I, so all of them, dot alpha is going to be equal to 1. Okay, the last thing, I said this once, but yeah, in the wrong shape click we are changing current target rotation to be 40. We are going to delete this, but if we want it, we could go also my blues I rotation is going to be equal to 0, but I am going to get rid of this, and we are not going to in the wrong shape change the rotation like so. But yeah, basically right now I will go with Control Enter, and we are going to have fully functional game. I will click button play. I am going to have this like so. I cannot click, and right now I can click the correct shapes like so. I am going to have TXT winner, and I am going to click play one more time, and yeah, I can one more time click all of the shapes like so, and I am going to be like so. So the only thing right now which doesn't work is that the winner text is not going to go away, and the same thing if I am going to lose, TXT loser won't go away. So I will click, I am going to have loser, I can play one more time like so, but text loser won't go away. So what we need to do is we need to go to the start game function, and we are going to copy all of this TXT loser and TXT winner, and in the start game we are going to make them to be invisible. I will have to change this to be root, and I will have to change this one to be root like so. But basically we are going to say root TXT loser visible is going to be false, and root TXT winner visible is to be false. Basically at the beginning we are saying that they are false, so on the first round they are false, but that it's not an issue if something is false and I'm going to make it to be visible false. It's fine. If TXT winner at the beginning is visible false and I will one more time go visible false, that's fine. But on the second round, one of them is going to be visible because we are either going to win or lose. So we are at the beginning going to simply hide both of them, and the one that was visible is going to be invisible, one that was invisible is going to stay invisible. Hopefully this makes sense. But right now, except of the levels that we are going to create in a part 5, we are going to have fully functional game with the reset. Every time we are going to generate different numbers like so, and yeah. And it is going to work when we win, and it is also going to work when we lose, and so on. So yeah, we are going to cut it right now for the part 4. In the part 5, we are going to go to this reset game, and we are going to make it more readable. Okay, you will see, and we are going to adjust this little bit because we are like repeating the code, and we are going to make the levels, and basically then we are going to be done. So if you manage to get to this point, congratulations. Even if you don't watch part 5, you already probably learned a lot, I hope. But I hope that you will continue to the part 5, where we are going to finish this, and yeah. Okay, so right now I'm in the Adobe Animate, and I will show you what we have so far. So I will go with Control Enter, Command Enter. I'm going to open my console, and if I'm going to click play, I am going to have 5 shapes selected like so. Right now I cannot click anything, and if I'm going to click the correct shapes, I am going to have text winner, and I can one more time click play, and one more time it is going to be like so. I cannot click until they are going to reset, and I can win one more time, or I can go play, and right now I am going to lose, and I am going to have text loser, and I can still play, and so on. So in this tutorial we are going to make levels, and we are going to make little adjustments to my code. So I will go to the code that we have so far, and very quick recapitulation, only if you watched part 4 a few days ago, and right now you are watching part 5. So basically we have let root is equal to this, because we cannot use keyword this inside of the function, because this refers to the main timeline in here, but in the functions it refers to the function, so we have it in variable root. We have score is equal to 0. We have the text loser and winner, and we are making it invisible. We have the my blues array, which is like the original shapes. We have target blues, which is the empty array where we are going to be pushing our things. Then we have start game function, which is going to be called when we click on the button play. And in the start game, at the beginning, we are making text loser and text winner invisible. They are invisible in the first round, but in the second round, one of them is going to be visible. So we are basically going to make both of them invisible. In case that we win, the text winner would be visible. If we lose, text loser would be visible. But yeah, we are making button play invisible, so we don't click it anymore. Potentially we have this remove listener on the btn play, but we have commented this out because when we make it invisible we do not need to remove this. Then we are going to generate numbers, and yeah, I am not going to explain this. This is from part 1. We are generating it, we are pushing it, we are splicing it, and so on. So at the end of the generate nums, we are going to get end with the target blues, which is going to have 5 shapes, and my blues is going to have only 4 shapes, and together these two arrays are going to contain all of the shapes. And then in the start game we are with the set timeout calling reset target alpha after 5000 milliseconds after 5 seconds. So it is in here reset target alpha. In here we are making the target blues, the blues that we have selected, to be alpha 1. We are adding correct listeners and adding wrong listeners. So on the selected shapes we are adding correct listeners. On the shapes that were not selected we are adding wrong listeners. So we have add wrong listeners, and we have a for loop where we are adding all of those listeners. Then we have we are calling the function of wrong shape click, and in the function of wrong shape click we have this parameter, but we do not need to have this because we didn't use it. It was for the current target. But yeah, we are console.logging lost. We are making the text the loser to be visible true, and we are resetting game. We will come there in the moment, and we are add correct listeners at the same time. So it is going to be in here, add correct listeners. We are adding listeners to the correct shapes, and we are calling function correct shape click. In there we have the parameter which is going to determine with eCurrent target which shape we clicked. We are storing that into variable blue, so we do not need to every time type eCurrent target alpha, eCurrent target remove, but you do not need this variable. We are changing the opacity to 0.2. We could change it to the 0, but we are changing it to 0.2. Then we are removing the listener. If we would change this to the 0, like so, we potentially wouldn't need this remove listener, but I will keep it as we have, so for now, so 0.2, and yeah, we are increasing the score, we are console.logging the score, we are comparing score with target blues.length, because if we are going to generate 5 shapes, then the score needs to be 5. If we are going to generate 3 shapes, score needs to be 3, and so on. We already explained this a couple of times. We are console.logging winner. We are making root text winner visible to be true, and we are resetting the game. And basically in the reset game, what we want is we want to remove all of the listeners that we have. So what listeners we have? We have listeners on the we have add correct listeners and add wrong listeners functions, and in the add wrong listeners we are adding listeners to all of the shapes that were not selected. So in the reset game, what we are going to do is we are going to go with the same loop with myblues.length, the same as in here, but instead of add even listener, we are going to remove even listener. The same thing we are going to do with the add correct listeners. Here we are looping through target blues, the selected one, and we are saying target blues I add listeners. And the same thing we are doing in the reset function, we are removing those listeners. So with this one and this one, if we are going to lose or if we are going to win, we are going to reset all of these click listeners. Because reset game is something that we call in a wrong shape click, and the same reset game is something that we call when we win. So we call it when we lose, we call it when we win. And yeah, we are resetting score to be 0 because at the beginning we want to score it to be 0. We are making root btn play visible to be true because in the start game, after we click on the btn play, we made it invisible. So right now we are making it visible. You know, I explained to you that if in the start game you would remove listener on the btn play, in here you would have to add. But yeah. Target blues was at the beginning 0, it was at the beginning empty, target blues, but with the generate nums, we have filled it with the shapes, and we want to go to the initial position, initial state, and we are going to say target blues length is going to be 0, because we want the length to be 0, we want to, this is the way how we are going to make the array to be basically empty. We are doing the same thing with myblues.length because myblues at the beginning contain all of the shapes. Right now it is going to contain only 4 of the shapes, but we are going to make it to be empty. So we will go myblues.length to be 0, and then we are pushing like myblues.push, and we are pushing all of the shapes inside. Okay, and I am using keyword root instead of this because we are in the function and it is something that I have explained. And the last thing that we are doing in the reset game, we have a for loop which loops through myblues.I, which we filled in here, and we are making alpha to be 1 because we want at the start of the game all of the shapes to have alpha 1. Okay, so yeah, this was the recapitulation, and right now we can go with the levels. So what I could do very simply is on the top I am going to create let level is going to be equal to 1, for example. Now I can copy this level and I can go to my generate nums And instead of generating 5 shapes, I am going to go and I am going to go level, so it is going to be 1. So right now we are going to basically generate 1 shape. Okay, and what we are going to do, we will go to the place where we are going to win, so it is going to be in the correct shape click. We can go, you know, after we are going to console.log winner, and I am going to say that level plus plus, which means increase level by 1, and the same thing I am going to do in a place where we lose, so it is going to be in here where we have console.log you lost in the wrong shape click, and I am going to go level minus minus. So let's see what we are going to have. I will go with Ctrl Enter, I will go with F12, I will click, I am going to have 1 shape, I will have to wait, I will click and I am going to win. Right now I am going to have 2 shapes, so yeah, I will have to wait and I am going to click and I am going to have 2 shapes. Right now I am going to have 3 shapes and so on. So like this, and if I am going to win, I will go to the 4, and right now I will lose, and if I am going to lose, I will go back to the 3 shapes and so on. But there is a little issue with our code. Let me show you. I am going to refresh this, and at the beginning we are going to have 1 shape, but what is going to happen if I am going to lose right now? I will intentionally lose. Loser, I will go with play and nothing, you know, because when we are going to lose game, we are going to go level minus minus, but at the beginning level was 0, at the beginning level was 1, and if you are going to have a level 1 at the beginning and you are going to lose and you will go level minus minus, you will go to 0, and we are generating as many, you know, numbers, shapes as we have a level. So if you are going to have in here 0, you are going to generate 0. So what can we do with this? Very simple if statement. I will go if level is going to be bigger than 1, only then I want level minus minus like so, and yeah. So basically this is telling me that if level is going to be 2, if level is going to be 3, if level is going to be 5, decrease the level. But if level is going to be 1, this condition is not going to be true because 1 is not bigger than 1, only 2 or 3 or 4 and so on. So basically with this simple condition, we are going to avoid that if we lose at the beginning, we are going to decrease the level. So right now, if I am going to lose, I am going to have a loser, and still I am going to be on the level 1. The same thing we can do to get a maximum level. So yeah, I am going to go to the correct shape click, and for example, I can create a if statement that if level is going to be smaller than 7, only then I want to go with level plus plus. So I will go like this, level plus plus, and this means that if level is going to be 5, we are going to increase the level. If level is going to be 6, we are going to increase the level, but then level is going to be 7, and we are not going to increase it anymore. I am going to go, for example, right now with number 3, so we can go there fast. So I will go 1, okay, I am going to click this, and we are going to go to level 2. Right now I am going to have 2 shapes. I am going to click them, and we are going to be on the next level, and then I am going to click these 3 shapes like so, okay, and right now if I go with play, I am still going to have 3 shapes, okay, and yeah, there you could, but this is not for this tutorial. I can go if level is going to be equal to 7, and then I could go with else if, or I could go with one more if, that if level is going to be equal to 7, we can call some function, you know, like game finished, and you could have some function game finish, you know, but yeah, we are not going to do that. Now there is a possibility that you do not want to start with the level like with one shape, but maybe you want to start with three shapes. Okay, so there are like two ways how we can do this, or I will show you two ways. So one of them is going to be, I could go let num of shapes, for example, like so, and I'm going to make num of shapes to be equal to 3. And basically, right now what I could do is I could be generating num of shapes like so, like this, and basically when I am going to lose, I am going to go that level minus minus and num of shapes minus minus. Okay, at the beginning it is 3, and the same thing we can do when we win. We can go level plus plus and num of shapes plus plus. Okay, but right now I could go maybe level 5, you know, because when we are going to have level 5 and shapes is going to be 2 or 3 more, you know, you need to adjust this. But yeah, this is the way how we could start with 3 shapes. This is like 3 shapes is level 1, 4 shapes is level 2, and so on. So that's why right now you do not want to go up to level 8, but maybe up to level 6. But we can if we want, but I am just showing you some of the options. You can choose whatever you want, whatever you understand. We could have this, for example, instead of level, I can go if num of shapes is going to be bigger than 3, and so on. But yeah, but I am going to make it simple. So I am going to get rid of this num of shapes, and I am going to go if level is bigger than 1. So we are going to completely get rid of num of shapes, and we are going to completely get rid of num of shapes in here, like so. And basically what I am going to do is I will also get rid of num of shapes in here, and I am going to go to the place where we are generating the shapes, and I will go level plus 2. Okay, so right now we don't have any variable with the num of shapes, we just have level, and we are saying that if level is going to be 1, generate 1 plus 2, 3 shapes. Okay, so yeah, hopefully this makes sense. One more time, you need to be careful in here right now, because right now if level is going to be 5, you are going to have 7 shapes and so on. But this is for me the simplest way how you can have like because we have level 1 and we are generating level which is 1 plus 2 shapes. Okay, right now I will click, I will go to level 2, and we are generating level which is 2 plus 2 shapes, and so on. So I showed you a couple of options. You can go with whatever you want, but yeah. Now the last thing that we are going to do, we are going to change this reset game a little bit. So what I'm going to do is I am going to select all of this, I am going to cut it, and I am going to put it to the bottom like so, reset game. And this is something which is optional, but what we can do, if we want to make the reset game a little bit more readable, we can create a functions for these little pieces and then just call the functions. So I can go function remove wrong listeners like so. Okay, and yeah, and in the function remove wrong listeners, I am going to cut this for loop which is removing the wrong listeners, and then in the reset game all I need to do is call the function remove wrong listeners. Then I can go ahead and create function remove correct listeners like so, and what I can do is instead of just having for loop which is removing the correct listeners from the target blues, I can, you know, cut it inside of this function, and in the reset game, I can very simply go remove wrong listeners, remove correct listeners, and so on. Okay, so score is equal to 0. That's something that we are going to leave as it is. Root, BT, and play visible, we are also going to leave. Target blues length is 0. We are going to leave. My blues length is going to be 0. We are going to leave. But we can do something with this. So, but all of this is optional. The game was functioning. I am just showing you how you could improve this little bit. So at the beginning, what we have is we have my blues, and my blues is going to, you know, in the array contain all of the things. But what I could do is I can cut this. I can make my blues to be empty at the beginning, and I'm going to create function fill blues, for example, parentheses, curly braces, and in here what I could do is I can go my blues dot push, and we are going to push all of the blues, and I will have to change all of this from this to root because we are inside of the function. But yeah, I will go like this: read root b3, root b4, and so on. So yeah, like this. So yeah, and this is going to be number 7, number 8, and this is going to be the last one, like so. And basically right now I'm going to have empty array, my blues. I am going to have function which is going to be pushing everything inside of the my blues, and this root, it is the same thing as if we would write this, but we are in the function, and I showed you why. And then what I would do is I would just call the function fill blues. So instead of typing my blues with everything inside, we are going to make it empty. We are going to make function fill blues, where we are going to be pushing everything inside of the my blues, and we are just going to call fill blues. And why would we do this? Because right now I have a function which is going to be filling the blues when it's going to be empty. So in my reset game, after I make my blues length to be 0, I can get rid of this my blues.push, because I have this inside of the function, and I can very simply call fill blues. Okay, and the last thing in here, we have filled the blues with all of the shapes, and we are looping through that, and we are making alpha back to be 1. So I can create a function reset my blues, for example, like so, and I am just going to copy this for loop. I am going to cut it. I'm going to paste it in here like so, and in my reset game I am just going to call that function like so, and yeah. So right now this depends on your preferences, but we have reset game where we have, okay, remove wrong listener. We can search where it is. Okay, it is in here, remove wrong listener, and there is some for loop which is removing the listeners. Then we have remove correct listeners, and so on. So yeah, and maybe what I would do is from here we are resetting the game. So I can go and make a comment reset game, and yeah, so something like this. But this is optional, and yeah. So I will go with Control Enter, Command Enter. I will click play. I am going to have 3 shapes. I am going to click them. I will just make sure that everything is working. I will go play. I am going to have 4 shapes. Right now I will intentionally lose like so. I will have 3 shapes, and yeah, basically everything is working. So yeah, we are done. This is it. This is all. The last thing that I am going to show you is how you can export this. If you are interested in how you can put this to your HTML5 website or something, these tutorials are going to be in the future. I am still learning, but yeah. So now I'm not going to go through the code one more time. We just added the levels, which was hopefully very simple, and we little bit made the reset game better to be more readable, but it is something which is optional, and I am not going to go through the code anymore. We are going to keep it as it is. I will provide you all of my codes from part 1 to part 5. You can anytime ask ChatGPT or something, but yeah. So I already saved this. So I will go to the place where I have this, and I am going to have my animate file, some recover animate file, some JavaScript, some HTML, some images. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to delete this JavaScript, HTML, and images. Basically, by default, Adobe Animate is going to, when you save your project and then you go with Control Enter, it is automatically going to publish you these things to the place where is your Adobe Animate file. What I will do is I will go to the file, I will go to the publish settings, and I will click this select publish destination, and I will have to go through to my place where I have this. So tutorial part 5. So here is where is my animate file, and I'm going to create new folder, and I'm going to call this to be index like so. I will go inside. I'm going to keep this untitled 3.js, I don't mind, and I'm going to click save. And now this is important. By default, or I think by default, you are going to have this as a texture, and texture is going to have convert complex shapes to bitmap for better performance. So it is going to convert vectors to the images, and I will go OK, and I will go file, and I will go publish. So right now, in my index folder, I am going to have JavaScript, HTML, and I am going to have images like so. So we are going to have these shapes and so on. I will close this. But this is a little bit an issue, because right now if I'm going to open my HTML and I will go with F12 and I will click play, I am going to have error and nothing is going to be working. And it is going to be, this is most likely due to security restriction on reading canvas. This error is something which for some security restriction, I don't know exactly, is going to happen only in your own browser when you want to play this. As soon as you would put this on a real website or some local server while testing this, it would be working fine if you wouldn't have other errors. But this error is something which is only in your local browser, in your PC, but it doesn't mean it's not working. But what we can do, because it is because of these images, and I can put a link in the description for my tutorial, which I didn't make so far, about XAMPP, MAMP, which are like making these local servers, but it is because of these images. So what I can do is I can delete everything because we don't have any images, and I can go to the Adobe Animate and I can go File, Publish Settings, and I will go from Texture to the Sprite Sheet, and Sprite Sheet is going to publish vectors as vectors, images as images, and so on. So I will go OK, I will go File, and I will go Publish. And right now we are not going to have images folder. We are going to have only HTML and JavaScript, and I will open HTML, I will go with F12, I will play, and it is going to be working fine, okay? But even if you would have an images, you know, with some other projects, and you are going to have this kind of error, this concrete error, that security restriction on the reading canvas, it doesn't mean you have something wrong. It is only in your browser, but on the real website or on some local server, it would work. If I make the tutorial about it, I may put it in the description in here, if I don't forget. But maybe you can search on my channel, or you know, I am planning making a lot of tutorials. So yeah, you could see that this was 2 hours something tutorial with all of the parts, but yeah. So we are going to finish this in here. you may have some questions, try, use ChatGPT or some other AI or something. It can be really, really helpful. If not, you can ask me in the comments. Maybe I will know the answer, maybe not. Sometimes, you may ask something, but the answer would be for 20 minutes tutorial, so I cannot, explain in 3 lines something. If you want to create other game or something, I may only create more tutorials, but yeah. So I will finish this. Thank you very much. If you finish this part 5, congratulations. I hope that you will be able to use this. I hope that you have learned something. I hope that you will be able to create your own projects. And yeah. So thank you very much. Congratulations one more time. Enjoy your day and goodbye.